It's midway through the celebration of gospel. American Idol winner Ruben Studdard had just finished singing "I Need an Angel." That's when host Steve Harvey looks out into the audience and sees a familiar face from his past, a man who was his angel almost 20 years ago.
This dude, Charlie Williams, is a piece of my past, you know, and I never forget my past.
Steve tries to continue, but gets choked up. Joining him on stage, his good friend Charlie Williams from Augusta, Georgia. It reduces Steve to tears, and producers have to stop the show. You see, it was 17 years ago that Steve Harvey was homeless, living in his car. Little did he know when he came to this auto glass shop in Augusta, Georgia to get his windshield fixed, he'd meet a man who would help him back on his feet, a man who would become his friend for life.
I was living in my car, and this dude would feed me.
I didn't know whether he was hungry or not. I had to eat, so I wanted him to eat along with me, you know.
At the time, Steve Harvey was a struggling stand-up comedian.
And 100 for a week, and you got to gas up your car and go live. That ain't good, you know.
I had no earthly idea that Steve was living out of the car.
Well, Steve rolled through Augusta, Georgia many times afterwards, and every time he stopped at Charlie's auto glass shop.
They said, "You want something to eat?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "We finna cook something."
Steve and I and the rest of the gang would eat out of this pot right here. If I had known what was happening then, I would have did more.
Steve told this story to the audience at the celebration of gospel. Recalling those dark days brought him to tears. Steve, you got very emotional that night.
See, if I'm hosting the gospel celebration and I'm standing there with diamonds on me, you know what I'm saying, man? I got gator shoes, tailor-made clothes. I'm on national TV. There's a man that was feeding me. That's a critical testament to how important the church and God has always been to me. And it became really evident that night. And it messed me up, you know. It's got me now, you know, because when I think about it, I get bent like this.
Coming to his rescue again that night, Steve's good friend Charlie.
This was this emotional moment for him, and which it was really emotional for me too. So that's the reason I found myself, without thinking whether security would have stopped me or not, on stage consoling them to let him know, hey man, this is us. We're down, we're real. And I told him, I said, now look, you got 6,000 or 7,000 people out here you're looking at. Dry those tears up, man. Let's go on with the show. Let's get the show on the road here.
That night, the show went on, and so too has Steve and Charlie's friendship.